Good evening, you're watching NewsX with me, Devika Chopra. Today is case number 6 in our Fight for Justice campaign. Now, yesterday was a remarkable day for Nirbhaya's mother, who finally breathed a sigh of relief as the date has now finally been fixed for when her daughter's killers will be hanged to death. But there is a father in Tamil Nadu who lost his daughter in the most unimaginably horrible manner. The case took many twists and turns, which exposes a number of things. Not only is it a cry to fix the system, it's a cry to rethink, reform itself. It's a cry for psychological help, and it's a case that is a wake-up call for all of us, for society as a whole, from our slumber. Have a look at this shocking case, and then we discuss all the issues and implications. A child was lured, then raped and murdered. The man behind the heinous crime was out on bail. What he did then exposed his mentality, but was also a cry for psychological help. The next case in the NewsX Fight for Justice campaign shows how the need for reforms doesn't end at ensuring a convict is punished. It goes to show that retribution can't end at lockups, but perhaps begin with mental health. This case is also an eye-opener for parents and society as a whole. Case number 6 in the NewsX Fight for Justice campaign is the rape and murder of a 7-year-old girl on 5th February 2017 in Tamil Nadu's Mugalivakam. Have a look at this report from 9th February 2017. It states that on 8th February, a 22-year-old IT firm employee sexually assaulted and killed a 7-year-old girl who went missing from her apartment complex. The same report further goes on to say that the accused, S. Tashwant, lured the girl to his flat by promising her to play with his dog, after which he sexually assaulted her and accidentally gagged her to death. As we read further, the report reveals more gruesome details of the case. It states that Tashwant stuffed the victim's body in a travel bag, took it to a desolate place near the southern suburb of Anakaputhur, where he burned it beyond recognition. The same report goes on to state that the investigators sent the body to the hospital for post-mortem to determine the abuse, but with little hope as the body was completely charred. As per this report, also dated 9th February 2017, the victim's neighbors saw her playing alone at 6:15 p.m. last while her parents were away shopping. They filed a missing report with the police when they couldn't find her. So how did the police solve the case and zero in on the suspect? The same report goes on to state that the accused Tashwant pretended to help the police search for the body to keep track of the situation. Reportedly, Tashwant even alerted the police control room to report the case. It was only when Tashwant made contradictory statements to police that he became the prime suspect. He claimed that he was at a wedding reception, but his cell phone data showed that he was home. Have a look at this report from 12th February 2017. It states that the police studied the CCTV footage from the apartment where the girl and the accused lived. It was through the footage that they found the victim entering Tashwant's house. During interrogation, Tashwant confessed to have molested the child, but when she raised an alarm, he killed her by suffocating her with a pillow. Have a look at another report from February 2017. As per this report, the Deputy Commissioner recounted Tashwant's attitude. He claimed that Tashwant didn't seem perturbed. He was emotionless when he took the police to the site where he had burned the victim. The Case was filed under IPC section 211 and 302. Almost 7 months after confessing to the rape and murder of a 7-year-old girl, this report from 14 September 2017 states that Dashwant was granted bail by the Mahila Court in Chengalpet. This was after the Madras High Court had quashed his detention under the Gundas Act. The same report further goes on to say that the investigators had failed to file a charge sheet within 90 days of the crime. Dashwant's father had filed a habeas corpus petition at the Madras High Court, and the court had accused the police of not responding to the petition filed by Dashwant's father and delaying the case. Madras EHC further added that this was against the petitioner's rights. How did a man accused of kidnapping, raping and burning a 7-year-old girl who confessed to the crime in police custody and took the police to the site where he had burned the body get out on bail within 7 months? This report from 14 September 2017 sheds light on the same. It states that on 20th March, the police had slapped the Gundas Act against the accused. However, once his detention under the Gundas Act was set aside by the Madras High Court, Dashwant easily got bail as the police had failed to file a charge sheet within 90 days of arrest. Almost 2 months, 20 days after Dashwant was out on bail, the shocking news made headlines. Dashwant's mother was found bludgeoned to death and he was missing. This report from 2nd December 2017 states that Dashwant's mother was bludgeoned to death at her residence in Kundrathur in Chennai. The police received a call at 3:30 p.m. regarding the same. As per the report, jewellery was also missing from her home. 23-year-old Dashwant, rape and murder accused, was missing and nowhere to be found. As per this report from 6th December 2017, 4 days after his mother's murder, Dashwant was apprehended by Tamil Nadu police from Chembur in Mumbai. The report goes on to say that a team of 3 police officers was stationed in Mumbai as they knew Dashwant was fond of betting on race horses. The team was stationed at the race course in Chembur where Dashwant showed up and he was nabbed by the Chennai special team. But in yet another twist, Dashwant reportedly managed to escape from the police once again. Have a look at this report from 8th December 2017, which states that Dashwant was re-arrested in Mumbai a day after he escaped from police custody. The report further states that he was found a few kilometers from where he had escaped. Dashwant, who was in handcuffs, had been taken to a hotel in Mumbai. While his escort was having lunch, he reportedly pushed other police officers and fled. This is the CCTV footage which was released, which shows how the accused was caught. After Dashwant's escape, Mumbai police were put on high alert and all police stations were asked to look for Dashwant in their jurisdiction. This CCTV footage from 7th December 2017 has a timestamp of 3:43 p.m. It shows how Dashwant, who was evading arrest, was chased down by 3 Chennai cops. The footage is from a location near Chembur racecourse in Mumbai. By 11th December 2017, as per this report, Dashwant had admitted to killing his mother. The report says that Dashwant had confessed to killing his mother on 2nd December to take her jewellery for his expenses. Police claim that Dashwant was planning on killing his father as well when he refused to give him money. The report gives even more chilling details of what conspired on the day of the murder when Dashwant killed his mother using an iron hammer. Police claim that Dashwant's parents had sold property to secure his bail but had been scolding him for his betting habits. As per the report, on the day of the murder, Dashwant had demanded money from his mother, who asked him to look for a job. Angered, he hit her with an iron hammer. As she lay in a pool of her own blood, he continued watching TV. He removed the jewellery which she was wearing and took 20,000 rupees in cash and fled. Excerpts from an interview to a media house by Dashwant's father were published on 18th December 2019. As per the excerpts, Dashwant's father claimed that his son was often expelled from school for his behaviour. His father further shared that they took their son to a psychiatrist, but Dashwant never took the pills or went for the sessions. He became addicted to betting.
Then while he was on bail, he committed another murder. According to the prosecution, he killed his own mother and again he put into the prison. While so he was let on bail, he threatened the witnesses. That case also pending. In that case also he was convicted. While so the charge sheet was filed, the trial was started at the trial court on 18/12/2017. Within 4 months, the case was disposed, entire witnesses were examined, and the judgment was delivered by the trial court on 19th February 2018. He was convicted by death, sentenced to death, and various sentences were passed on him, various provisions for kidnapping and the PACSO Act, everything. Finally, he preferred an appeal within 2 months before the Honorable High Court. The Honorable High Court immediately heard his appeal and adjourned the judgment on 28/4/2018, and after 3 months, that is on 10th July 2018, the High Court delivered the judgment and confirmed the trial court order. In these circumstances, the accused, the convict, approached the Honorable Supreme Court in the same year, that is maybe in August or September 2018. But it is very pathetic. The case is pending more than a year.
Have a look at this report from 19th December 2017. It states that Dashwant wrote a 6-page letter to the judge acknowledging his guilt and asked the court to dismiss the trial. The Chengalpet Mahila Court judge dismissed the letter, declaring that the accused could not play with the courts. On 19th February 2018, the Chengalpet court convicted Dashwant in the rape and murder of the 7-year-old girl and sentenced him to death. The court held Dashwant guilty on all charges, including those under POCSO. He was convicted for kidnapping, abduction, assault or use of criminal force on women, murder and causing disappearance of evidence. Another report from 19th February 2018 states that the technique of superimposition was used to identify the victim's body, and the court relied on DNA tests in semen in the innerwear which matched Dashwant, along with a witness who said that Dashwant was the last person seen with the child before she went missing. On 10th July 2018, 4 months and 21 days after the Mahila court in Tamil Nadu awarded Dashwant the death penalty, the sentence was upheld by the Madras High Court. NewsX accessed a copy of the Madras High Court judgment. In point number 158 on page 81 of the judgment, it has been noted that while age of the accused is a factor that should be taken into consideration, it is not a determinative factor for the purpose of deciding the punishment. The court further noted that the manner in which the body of the deceased had been disposed of showed the ruthless character of the accused and that his mind was beyond reformation. In point number 167, the court concluded that the case comes within the rarest of rare categories, warranting imposition of death penalty.
The state and the Child Commission has to use the such NGOs help to spread awareness among them. Then only it is possible for them to dispose every case in the courts. Another one direction is the appointments of the creation of the special court for the POCSO cases. Already every state, the Mahila court was created. The Mahila court also the special court for the POCSO cases. There we see an apathetic condition that the children and the victims in the POCSO cases, the witnesses standing along with the accused persons, who are the adult accused, the adult offenders, adult victims also there. So it is very, 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 very pathetic. Now what the Supreme Court says, there is an exclusive court for the POCSO cases to be created. That is a welcome one. It is very apathetic that Tamil Nadu is not created so far. The Supreme Court condemned this also. So in this juncture, my request is to immediately create this and dispose the cases as law directs.
So here's what we know so far. On 5th February 2017, a 7-year-old girl went missing from her apartment building. On 8th February, police found her burnt body stuffed in a travel bag. On the same day, they arrested her 23-year-old neighbor Dashwant. On 12th September 2017, Dashwant got bail as Chennai police failed to file a charge sheet within 90 days. On 7th October 2017, hearing began in the Chengalpet Mahila Court. On 2nd December 2017, Dashwant's mother was found dead, her jewelry was missing and Dashwant was absconding. On 6th December 2017, police arrested Dashwant in Mumbai. On 7th December 2017, Dashwant escaped the police. On 8th December 2017, Dashwant was found a few kilometers away from where he had fled and was re-arrested in Mumbai. On 10th December, Dashwant reportedly confessed to killing his mother. On 18th December, Dashwant reportedly confessed to his crimes in a letter he wrote to the court demanding his trial be dismissed. On 19th February 2018, Chengalpet Court awarded Dashwant death penalty. On 10th July 2018, Madras High Court upheld Dashwant's death penalty. The court also noted that the case falls within the rarest of rare category. There is no report available on whether the accused has moved the Supreme Court since. A 7-year-old child was lured, raped, suffocated, stuffed in a bag and burnt. When the court awarded her killer the most severe punishment, her distraught father said he fought to ensure the judicial system would give the right punishment at the right time. A father who lost his daughter thanked the judiciary, hoping that nobody would ever have to go through the pain of what he went through. Over a year and a half later, the 7-year-old victim's killer is still alive. That's just how unfortunate. That was the story. A 7-year-old girl, she was lured, she was raped, she was burnt beyond recognition, her body was stuffed in a travel bag and then dumped somewhere. The man who confessed to the crime was later out on bail. And during that time, he killed his mother. He stole her jewelry, he took 20,000 in cash and fled. He was then caught in Mumbai, from where he once again managed to escape from the police, and then he was re-arrested. Now finally the case has reached its culmination, at least in the Madras High Court, but right now we also have the Supreme Court. Then after that we'll have the review petition, then we'll have the curative petition, then we'll have the mercy petition. This case is going to go on. It's going to keep going on and on and on till the family of the victim gives up and feels like what's in it for us or for our peace of mind anymore. This particular case exposes serious lapses within the system itself. We will come back and discuss that in detail with all of our guests, but I have to slip into a very quick break. We come back on the other side. Welcome back. You're watching NewsX, and it's a big story that we're covering for you. Case number 6 in our campaign. Let me begin this debate with Barkha Shukla Singh, former president of the DCW, joins us on the broadcast. Barkha, now you've seen what the story has been all about. this man somehow managed to get bail because the charge sheet was not filed within 90 days. Now, those are the rules, right? But one has to wonder why the police was not being able to file a charge sheet in a case where the man himself took them to the crime spot. He took the police and he showed them, here's the body, this is the body, where I dumped it, where I burnt it. In such a case, they failed to file the charge sheet within 90 days. How shocking is that?
Yes, I think this is a failure of the system. जो हमारा system है वो कहीं ना कहीं बहुत weak और fail है. इस वजह से इस तरह के जो मुल्जिम हैं वो बच जाते हैं और वो जब वो अपने आप लेके जा रहे हैं पुलिस को, और पुलिस, I don't know why police is not filing the case. It's very unfortunate.
No, the police failed to formulate the charge sheet within 90 days. I have Tatasha Banerjee, also a lawyer of the Supreme Court, with me on the broadcast. Tatasha, let me bring you in on this conversation, because as a lawyer and as a person who deals with such cases, if you can give us some insight into what could be the possible reasons as to why the police fails to file charge sheets within 90 days. What is plaguing our system? Let's figure out the problems and then we'll talk about solutions.
The first problem with the charge sheet that police faces, that they need to go to the crime scene. But here it has already been stated that they were there in the crime scene. They need to follow certain evidencing. Then there has to be investigation, and then there were some statements needed to be made in under 163 in CRPC, and then you need to compile all the records as a charge sheet and produce it in the court. Then it as according to the statutory provision, it is 90 days. You have to give charge sheet within 90 days, and thereafter if you want to extend, then it extend another 60 days.
Okay.
So that is how the charge sheet process has been dealt in CRPC.
How do you get that extension for 60 days?
You make a application in the court, in the Judicial Magistrates Court, by telling that they could not get hold of certain evidences and they want some further time to file the charge sheet. But over here there is also one thing, that there is one first charge sheet that needs to be filed, and then there is supplementary charge sheet that needs to be filed also.
Okay.
So if you are not conclusive in your first charge sheet, then supplementary charge sheet can be taken or can be submitted later on after further investigation. So the process, it's 90 plus 30 plus 30, another 60 days. So 90 plus 60 days, that is your whole time frame to make the charge sheet. So that depends upon the extension if given by the judicial magistrate, and then the investigation.
That's a very long time.
Yes, that is
90 plus 60, you're talking about how many months you're talking about there? 5 months almost you're talking about.
Absolutely.
That's a long time. And you know, I understand when it's a very complicated case where several people might be involved, there might be several victims, there might be conflicting statements.
Absolutely.
The child was last seen in the CCTV footage with this man going into his apartment. He was then seen leaving the apartment with a travel bag in which he had stuffed her body. I'm appalled. I'm shocked. You know, it's baffling how the system works and what's happening. Let me bring in Shaina NC of the BJP into the broadcast. Shaina, where is it that we're going wrong? Because I'm really trying to, I have been speaking to several people, I've been trying to speak to lawyers, cops, for the past couple of days since I've been tracking this story, just trying to wrap my mind around what could be the possible reasons. Okay, let's figure those out and let's find solutions. But I just can't find anything in this particular case wherein the person, the accused, has taken the police to the crime spot and said, here's the body of the child that I burnt. And they still haven't been able to file a charge sheet in 90 days.
So there's a saying in Hindi which says, "Kabhi kabar rakshak bhakshak ban jate hain aur bhakshak rakshak." So I think there is a lot of questions that need to be answered by the police force. The administration needs to be very quick when it comes to any investigative procedure, especially in cases such as this, where you need to have within the first 24 to 48 hours all the evidence procured so that it is a watertight case and that the prosecution is so strong that there is a punishment. But having said that, I think there are lots of cases which go completely amiss. There are lacunas in the system, and we go back to my 4-point mantra, which is political will, administration being sensitive, fast-act judiciary, and change of mindset in society. If we are able to focus on these 4 issues collectively, there will be fear of law because there will be punishment if the administration acts with elasticity. And most importantly, if we as a society bring pressure, and I'd like to compliment NewsX for doing this program day after day, because it genuinely shows that there are certain people in the media that want to bring back cases and stories which go unnoticed or which go amiss, and why they have gone amiss is a big question in the days to come.
Right, absolutely. Okay, I'm going to bring in all the other panelists as well. Brinda Adige, social activist, and Joyita Basu, senior journalist, also join us on the other side of the broadcast. Once again, moving into a very, very short break, but stay on with us because more details need to be discussed on the other side. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're watching NewsX with me, Devika Chopra. Special coverage, case number 6 in our fight for justice, where a 7-year-old girl was raped, murdered, burnt, and then her body was dumped on the roadside. Her killer was then out on bail after almost 3 months of the crime. The reason, you ask? Because the police failed to file the charge sheet within 90 days. When he was out on bail, he ended up killing his own mother. He took her jewelry and cash and fled to Mumbai, from where he was rearrested. This is a very, very crucial case that we are discussing today. Let me rope in Joyita also into the broadcast. Joyita, as we were discussing, the police has 90 days, and Tatasha has, spelt it out for us, all of these procedures, that beyond 90 days also the police, if they haven't been able to file a charge sheet, they can go ahead and they can ask for extra time, 30 days, they can get extensions for almost up to 60 days more. So that's almost 5 months of time to file the charge sheet. Where do you think is it that we're going somewhere completely wrong? And maybe somewhere in terms of how the system currently works, perhaps it has something to do with the fact that we just are not being able to adopt technology. Maybe that is one aspect that we need to be looking at.
And also just the unwillingness to tackle crime against women seriously. I think that is the crux of the problem. And also because you see our system, it's so lopsided that certain cases, maybe vandalism and all will get more importance when it comes to the police in controlling law and order. And instead of, this is a very heinous crime, and it is the rarest of rare cases. It should have been, in fact, the man should have been hanged inside 1 year, and after conducting a fair trial, and the police had all the matter in its hands. And the thing is that in spite of that, it is shocking that they could not file a charge sheet inside 90 days. It shows, this is what we have been seeing throughout in all the cases that you have been discussing in NewsX. It has been throughout, everywhere the police is particularly has been lethargic, lackadaisical. They are just not interested. And my question is that is it because all these cases concern women? Is there, complete lack of sensitization? Is that what we are witnessing among the police? And if that is the case, and perhaps that is the case, why don't we have more women in police forces?
Okay. Right, absolutely. And that's an aspect that we also need to get into, the fact that you just need to bring in more police. But before I bring in Brinda Adige as well, I just want to quickly go back to Tatasha. Tatasha, I have to ask you, like I said, I was speaking to a couple of lawyers and cops as well regarding this case, because I haven't been able to get my mind around it. And they informed me that one of the major reasons as to why there is a delay in terms of even collecting evidence, etc., is because we don't have as many forensic labs in our country as we need. I was researching on this, and I found that there are about 7 to 8 central forensic labs in just a few parts, which deal with all the matter that is collected. That is appalling.
Yes. So, I would refer US here actually, because New York is second largest capital for the rape. victims. So what they have said, what they have stated, that you need to have a medical kit, rape kit, that should not be touched when the girl is taken for MLC, that is your medical report. And after the MLC has been done, then whatever the evidence that has been collated, that needs to be straight away should go to the evidencing room, and then the other investigation will start. In India, what happens is that once this particular MLC is done, sometimes the doctors file it, but police doesn't know certain medical ways, and they fail to even see the forensic result of the doctors, I'm telling you, for that matter. And the public prosecutors in multiple times I have seen not been very well versed with the MLC report that has been given. That is the primary thing. Second is when we are dealing with rape kit, investigation, witness, that we say witness, when we are asking for the witness to talk about to give certain statements, this whole things become very cumbersome. It gets so mixed altogether. Sometimes the charge sheet in itself, when they make the charge sheet that we call the Panchnama and everything that they made it, they make it in such a way that even sometimes the court also asks the investigation officer, what have you done? I have seen it in personal cases in this particular thing. So what happens is that there needs to have a system in terms of medical, in terms of forensic, and in terms of your statement procedure.
Okay, but then I just want to ask you one. You said when the IO is also making the charge sheet, sometimes it's difficult for the court itself to decipher what has been written. If you can just elaborate on that, give us an example, any example of what is it that perhaps, something that you can remember maybe. What did they write, or what was wrongly presented in that? What are the difficulties?
I won't say wrongly presented. The language that has been presented, maybe they wanted to write certain things and they came up with certain different things altogether. So what happens in my personal cases, I have seen what happened, that one police officer wrote that there were 2 witnesses, but when the witnesses' statement have been taken, they said, no, we are not there, we were in certain other place, maybe it is 100 meters away. So certain times what happens, even the witness statements goes completely haywire because of that. It's a very little thing.
Yeah, but it can impact an entire case.
It does impact a lot of the entire case. And what happens is that if you give certain kind of statements like this, even the court sometimes feel, because after all, the judge is a human being, he will also see, he or she will, will think what exactly is going on. To decipher the case, he first has to go with the witness who is actually giving the statement, and obviously he's, identifying, he's telling that I was not there, he or she had his own alibi wherever he or she is. So obviously the court will going to, vouch on the statements.
The court will obviously rely on what is presented to them, and as it's presented to them, whatever evidence is presented, the court is going to look at that. Okay, we'll come back to that. Brinda Dige, another important thing, ma'am, that comes out of this entire story is that when we were reading up about it and researching, there was there are excerpts of what the father of the accusers also said, that the child was multiple times expelled from the school. When this accused was in school, he was multiple times expelled. He was into betting and he refused to go to a psychiatrist or psychologist. My question then is, can we not somehow introduce psychological help or psychological aid, or at least have some sort of psychological scanning in such heinous cases when they're reported and somebody has been nabbed? The accused people who've been taken away, at least have a psychological screening so that you can take a call on whether this person can be out on bail or not. How difficult would that be?
Absolutely. That is not at all difficult. In fact, those are instances that should be introduced immediately. But you look at the way our system functions, they are so disjointed. You look at the investigating officer who is registering the FIR, who is preparing the charge sheet, who is actually going to the spot over there, who are the detectives collecting the evidence, then the arrest is made, their lawyer comes in. When does the public prosecutor come in? When is a psychological testing done of the accused, and after it he is nabbed or before he is sent to trial? How many times would the judge or the magistrate actually ask for such a report? And then you look at our jails. Every jail across the country has more than 3 times its capacity. These jails do not have these facilities. We are talking about the labs. The labs are also in a shabby state of affairs. They do not have the up-to-date, sophisticated technology that we want. Look at the number of vacancies that are there. There is no mandate that they must work in convergence. It is very easy to say you must be sensitive. There should be a political will. But what about accountability? Where is it that we are? Who is the ombudsman who's looking at a case and says, have you followed the procedures and have you followed the processes?
Right.
Before the charge sheet even goes to court.
Right, absolutely.
And these are things that are not happening.
And this is what's being exposed, right?
Why
Because
is it that the judge would say, yeah, there is a legal flaw and hence I will give you the bail? The judge has discretionary
Which is
power to
precisely
ask per
what
case
happened in this case.
that he wants a psychological testing done.
That's precisely what happened in this case, because the police failed to file a charge sheet in 90 days. So the hands of the magistrate or the judge, they're tied by the law. They have to give the person bail, and when this man was out on bail, imagine he ended up killing his own mother for some petty cash.
I want to come.
So like I said, that this was a case that was also a cry for
See, bail may be
psychological
his
help.
right, but the judge, the magistrate has discretionary powers not to give that bail. He can ask for 2-3 days and say, get me this report before I can allow that bail to go through.
Exactly, and we don't. I'm not
We
sure
never pull
whether
up
we
any of
have
the officers.
whether we have in cases where a person is in jail for having committed a heinous crime like murder and rape. At least then we should be able to apply our minds and think, okay, hold on, let's see if this person is right now psychologically fit to be put back into society. He could be a danger to other people as well when he's out. Tatasha wants to come, and then I bring in Shaina and see as well.
What happens here, there has to be, that I wanted to say, that behavioral science unit needs to be there in India.
Okay.
Where, you research on the criminals, research on the criminals, where judiciary, where academician can help the court a lot in this way, where the criminal psychology to be, imparted and needs to be researched. And that is the technical thing that needs to be there, where it is there even in the FBI, it is there in Scotland here, everywhere in the world they have behavioral science unit in terms of this kind of crime when it happens. They research on that, and this kind of people, how they can behave even after getting a bail, that also determine. We lack even that.
Of course, and their teams also have psychologists on them.
Yes, we do
when
not
we're
have
talking
that.
about the US or you're talking about England, all of their teams, the teams that look at solving such crimes, heinous crimes of finding serial killers or serial attackers or rapists, they always have a psychologist on the team as well, because that person, ultimately you're dealing with a human being.
Yes.
How do you know how someone's going to react? And we're not being illogical when we say that there needs to be some sort of psychological scanning in specific cases. I'm not saying that a man who's stolen a phone off the road, you do a psychological scan of that man as well. But at least in heinous crimes, where you know that this man could possibly be awarded the death sentence, at least then let's apply our minds and let's do a psychological scan before we put this person back into society. Shaina, tell me, that's a logical thing to ask?
Hello? Hello?
Right, Shaina, can you hear us?
Hello?
Okay, we'll
Yes,
fix.
I can.
Okay, yes, Shaina, I was making that point about psychological scanning. I said that in the US, UK, wherever you look, in all sophisticated, the sort of sophisticated teams that exist, all of them always will have a psychologist. Now that perhaps is too much to ask for
Yes.
in India right now. But the point I was making
Yes.
was, in cases where
No,
the accused has been taken
I don't
up.
think so.
No, let's be practical. I want to be practical here, because I'm saying in cases where a person has been nabbed for a crime wherein the possible punishment will either be life imprisonment or even death sentence, at least in those cases, it is not illogical for us to demand a psychological scan of the person before they are given bail for whatever reason.
Well, I just want to say that let's understand that mental health is also a big issue. So, psychological care is a must. But having said that, I do get your point. In a large country like India, it cannot be a mandatory criteria. I would want to make one limited point, that when it comes to perpetrators of crime who have a regressive mindset, how do we change this psyche? It can only happen through the family structure. And I think that is extremely imperative. In cases where a victim needs counseling, that is something we must insist on. We must insist on women constables. We must insist on women counseling each other, because sometimes they are in a more comfortable space than dealing with male psychologists or psychiatrists, even in cases such as this. So that is one aspect for the victim. But as far as the perpetrator of crime is concerned, I think that we need to holistically work at the family level.
Yeah, absolutely, at the family level as well. And let me bring in Barkha Shukla Singh back into the conversation here. Ma'am, now given that you would have also dealt with such cases and perhaps have had victims also go ahead and at some point in time meet the people involved in the crime, or families seeing the accused in their cases, there is a need, there is a serious need to bring in psychological help and psychological aid at all levels.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल ठीक कह रहे हैं आप. साइकोलॉजिकल जो एक उसमें चीज़ है वो होना बहुत ज़रूरी है, क्योंकि इस तरह का आदमी जब ही इज़ किलिंग हिज ओन मदर फादर एंड और उसके बाद में उसको कैसे बेल मिलनी ही नहीं चाहिए. मैं तो ये समझती हूँ, I'm from the beginning I'm saying that this kind of people, they should not get the bail. When he raped and he murdered, so how he can get the bail?
That's
he should
the big
not
question.
get the bail. But yeah, this is the question. But ऐसा होना नहीं चाहिए, क्योंकि मैं तो हम लोग बहुत दिनों से इस बात को कह रहे हैं. इस तरह के जो बहुत ही सेंसिटिव केसेस हैं, इन केसेस में पुलिस को बहुत सेंसिटिव होने की ज़रूरत है. वो आइदर इट इज़ इन दिल्ली और चेन्नई और हैदराबाद और एनीवे इन इंडिया. बट मेरा क्या सोचना है कि हमारी पुलिस को थोड़ा सा और सेंसिटाइजेशन करने की ज़रूरत है, थोड़ा सेंसिटिव होना चाहिए. एंड हमको वी शुड गेट सम मोर फीमेल पुलिस.
Right, absolutely, ma'am. Okay, on that note, I have to step into
understand and they can, yes.
Right, I have to step in a very short break, but we'll come back and discuss some other aspects as well on the other side. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're watching NewsX, and we are, of course, discussing case number 6 in our fight for justice. And like I said, Shaina, another important point that had come out in this particular case, and like I said, through my conversation with several people, that Asha has also pointed out, is the fact that we only have a handful of central forensic laboratories that are dealing with all the evidence, pardon me, that's, coming their way. The logical step now would be to have a forensic laboratory in every state, if not for every high court. What would stop us from doing that?
Well, I think your point is well taken. Not only do we need more forensic labs, We need to have process where the investigative procedures, which normally take so long, are completed in the first 24 to 48 hours, because we all know that procuring evidence immediately is the most important to have a watertight case. So yes, forensic labs could be one aspect, sensitive police force, more women constables, where the police are not questioning, usne kya pehna, wo kahan gayi thi, wo kya kar rahi thi, is she going to elope, and all these stereotypical questions that one has seen time and again. When I talked about administration being rakshaks or bhakshaks, there is a serious question here, because sometimes the police is also a product of the society we live in, where the male misogynistic mindset of believing that they are supreme and women are objects of lust or items needs to be condemned in totality. But the police also does a fantastic job in lots of cases where they have unearthed evidence and brought guilty to task. So I hope we can have role models, and have role models of people who truly believe that they can be game changers in this large scheme of things. That if we are united on one front, that is to work really hard as a mother, as a daughter, to create same value systems for boys and girls, where boys respect girls as much, where parents say ki pota nahi chahiye, poti chahiye. When it comes to inheritance, we think about giving girls and boys exactly the same in inheritance and education. We will be able to do a huge change in this mindset, which then percolates down to the administration, that's the police as well as the political class.
Right. Shana, but you know, we of course need to continue having all of these conversations about mindset and all that change. But right now, I'm really just trying to think in practical terms, what do we need that would change this? The fact that the police in a very straight case was not able to file a charge sheet in 90 days is reflective of something being seriously wrong with the system. Brinda, what do you think that could possibly be? The fact that perhaps, like I said initially, that maybe we're just not being able to adapt to technology.
Absolutely. What we are also forgetting is the system has all of these functionaries. We have not changed the structure of this system. We are not talking about professionalism that should be mandated at every step. We do not have an ombudsman that questions or challenges an officer, male or female, as to why a step and a procedure has not been done. And we continue to say that we should be happy that they did so much. No, I think it is now the job of the government to allocate enough budget to put it down and say we need to fill in all of these vacancies and we need to develop professionalism. We want detectives, we want doctors, we want people who will be there to handle, like one of the panelists mentioned, a rape kit. How many police officers in India know that there is something called as a rape kit? They would immediately, like Madam Shaina was saying, blame the woman. Their job is to be done as per the procedure. And if they don't do it, we need to be pulling them up. So we want to say that if we are asking for reformation, there should be systemic and structural reformation, which means budgetary allocation has to be done immediately. Vacancies have to be filled up immediately. All of your training programs have to continue side by side. But until and unless these structures are not changed, we should also have options for police officers that if they have conducted or they have, cases have been very successful, they should be able to write an exam and come up to become an IPS. Why not?
Okay.
Why is it that a police inspector or a sub-inspector can only aim to be a DCP? Why not above that? So we need to be able to change all of that when we are talking of professionalism and reformation.
Okay, Joyita, your thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, I think what we need to teach the police is how to handle the evidence, because that is where half the case is often lost. And also in this case, as we were talking about, the magistrate gave this person bail in spite of being, this being, basically, he's a pervert. The sick is one of the sick cases that can possibly be. In spite of that, how is it that the magistrate was giving him bail? So unless and until, that's what I'm, sensitization is a must. You see, I mean, these cases cannot be treated as lightly, and that is what I think has been happening with the police, with the judiciary. Things go on for years and nobody is bothered unless and until proper training is given, particularly starting with our police. And we need good quality people. We need people who can be trained, who have to be trained properly. And as Asha was saying, all these handling all these different rape kits and all, they just don't know anything. Nobody knows anything in this country. Unless and until that system is developed, I think we have a very, very long way to go.
Right, absolutely. Tatasha, I have 30 seconds more. What do you think? What should be the priority then?
I think that every policeman needs to be sensitized. I told last time also that sexual harassment has a committee, and also there are imparting training is a part of the act. So that needs to be there with every police people, that how to deal with the victims rather than shamming them altogether. And then there are evidencing that needs to be completed within 48 to 72 hours. That is the most crucial 3 hours, 3 days, 2 days time, where you can impart all the evidences. Especially in rape cases, medical evidences are the most crucial thing that you can think of, because sometimes there are witnesses, sometimes there is no witness, but that medical examination is the must and the major thing that needs to be taken care of first in that first 3 days, first 48 to 72 hours, and that evidencing need to be channelized, and the rape kit and all the legislation that needs to be followed, then it can be done after that particular period. And charge sheet can be filed within 90 days. 3 months is a lot of time, I believe, for evidencing. But I don't know why they don't do it sometimes, because of their lackadaisical attitude. That is why the training is very much important in terms of rape victims.
Right, absolutely. Okay, so once again, several problems and practical solutions also coming our way. This time, once again, it was day 15 of our NewsX Fight for Justice campaign, where case number 6, like I said, exposed several glaring lapses, not only within the system, but within society itself. It is really time now that we start taking this way more seriously than we do right now. Thank you so much for watching, and I thank all of my panelists for joining us this evening to take this fight forward. Thank you.